Hey guys, today we'll go over doing an oil change on a 2007 Honda Accord. Typically this is for when you have your oil life at 5% or at A1 or B1 maintenance schedule. That's what we're looking for. Right now what we're doing is that we're looking at the 5% oil life and we'll change it. We're looking also at the temperature of the engine and that maintenance marker. We want to make sure the engine temperature is nice and warm for the oil so that all the oil is liquid and easy to move. We're going to go ahead and pop the hood right now and go ahead and do it. So just pull the hood latch on the bottom of where your foot well is, and right now the car is pretty much up to temperature right now, so we're going to go ahead and change the oil. So yeah, just drive it around the block if you need to warm it up, but right about when it hits that little floaty temperature marker, make sure you get a jug of 5 quarts of 520 oil, a new oil filter wrench, a jar opener, and a 17-inch wrench. Also make sure you have a recycling bin for your oil as well, so you could throw your oil and old filter in the way so you can recycle it later at your local auto parts dealership. Also, what's usually good is actually making a little funnel out of an old oil can or oil container. Also, which would be useful is some ramps. Make sure you have some ramps, so you just ride your car right on top of it, and just make sure it stops right at that end point. It takes a little getting used to do it, but it's actually pretty useful after you do it. I usually put a brick behind the 2 back wheels so it doesn't roll forward in case of any weird accidents, so just for safety. On the engine bay, you go basically take a look at the engine, you look at the oil dipstick right there, as well as you go check the windshield wiper fluid, the power steering fluid, the coolant reservoir, as well as the brake and battery condition fluid. Just take a look at the levels and make sure everything looks right. This is a maintenance-free battery, so we're not really going to deal much with it. Again, the brake fluid as well, just to check the levels and stuff. So just a quick glance, make sure all the levels are topped off. Your transmission fluid stick is there to check there too. Coolant is at close to maximum. I usually fill out back to max. It does drive in a bit. Power steering fluid, it's at a good level. Windshield wiper fluid, just take a look at it. And most important is your dipstick as well as your engine oil port. So you go and screw and put in. Let's go over what we need again. Again, this is a pretty old car, so I'm using a long life, high mileage blend, 520. You go use a standard Accord oil filter for Honda and the 17-inch wrench, an oil filter wrench, as well as a jar opener and probably an old sock or some rag or something to get any other oil stains, and there's gonna be a lot of oil, so and of course make your little funnel. In terms of other stuff you might need to check, a rag, so you could check the oil. You would check the oil level before you start, so make sure it has enough oil to check the condition of the oil as well as the levels of the oil. This is actually very important. You go open up that oil port and just unscrew it and leave it be so it vents. So when you do empty your oil, it'll drain completely. Again, the oil is hot right now because you're looking at the car. And just a quick glance of other stuff. This is pretty neat. We're just going to go ahead and check all these parts. The dipstick and other ones just to look at it. And definitely pretty useful to go over. Now to go underneath the car. So underneath the car, we have basically the oil pan the drain plug. There's a little washer there you need to replace as well. You might want to get one of those too. Sometimes people just reuse it. Again, when you take it off, just use the 17mm socket and basically do a lefty loosey, just like righty tighty lefty loosey. So we're just gonna go counterclockwise and take it off. That's the oil filter. And once you take off that the plug, just make sure you have that pen underneath and just to catch everything. I typically have newspaper underneath, but I do it so often that I'm pretty good at catching all the oil when it comes out. I basically take out most of that oil before I start working on that the oil filter. I usually put the plug back in loosely, and I clockwise pull out that old oil filter with the oil filter wrench. Pretty straightforward and simple. It's for the Honda Accord. It's a little hard because of the transaxle, the axle that's right next to it, and also the hot exhaust that's right next to your hand. And don't worry about the oil getting falling down for the oil filter. It's easy, you just wipe it off. But the main thing is to get that thing loose and be careful of the hot oil and hot exhaust manifold behind you with exhaust. But once you get that loosened up, you could do the rest by hand. Again, if you see it, I basically plugged up the petrol oil plug so it won't get me dirty, and everything's wiped down. That's why you have a lot of rags with you. So just let it loose for a little bit and just let it start dripping so you know where the pathway of the oil is going to fall first. That makes it very easy for you to unscrew, and just make sure that you let the oil just drip along the side of the parts, and just let it drip by itself. It's going to get messy anyways. Just let it drip. There's not that much oil, so just let it all pour out and put it into an oil pan to collect. And then after all, we just get our rags. As soon as this thing's finished, we get our rags and wipe down all the parts that have oil, as well as the seat base of that oil filter. In the filter base, you want to make sure that part's clean, the paste and also the threads. Same thing for this one too. You want to make sure you just wipe off the base and stuff so there's no sand or anything else stuck to it. Get a good rag, clean rag, and just make sure everything's there. Like I said, just put it in lightly. You go tighten it out a little later before we tighten everything else out. But dark oil, we want to make sure everything's clean. So go ahead and take a cloth and clean up all that stuff. For the oil filter, a new one, this one comes already pre-oiled, but just for the heck of it, I'm going to put like a layer of oil in it. There's about 4 ounces of oil in there, and I put another finger sort of oil around the ring as well. So basically I hand tighten this thing up into the and replace it back onto the engine for the filter. And to finish it off, you just need about a 3/4 turn. So as long as it's tight, hand tight, I use a jar opener, a rubber jar opener, which is extremely useful because it doesn't crush anything. And I usually use in the past I used this, basically the oil filter wrench, but I notice sometimes it pinches it, so I don't like using that as much anymore. And some people still use it, but I prefer this. It's basically a jar opener, and you just use the jar opener to tighten it. Again, righty-tighty, just go clockwise and just turn it for another 3/4 turn and you're done, or even a half turn, depends how tight you tightened it by hand. But overall, pretty simple. And after you tighten that, you go tighten up the bolt, the drain bolt on the drain pan, and that just needs about 15 pounds of pressure, which is just tight enough to you can squeeze that new washer in right. The new washer, it's aluminum, so some people reuse their washer. I typically don't. I basically just get a new washer. It's like 50 cents from the Honda dealership, or you just get it from Trek Auto or some other auto parts store. Here's the fun part. After everything's tightened down on the bottom part and the oil filter is tightened down, time to refill. So basically I use that makeshift funnel that I used an old bottle of oil cut off, and I just filled the whole jug in. You need about 4.3 quarts in the Honda Accord for this 4-cylinder Honda Accord engine. So it's not really that much. I usually put about 4 quarts in first and take a measure. So again, like I said, about 4 quarts in, take a measure, see how close we are. Usually around 3 quarts. This is a good way to check, where your dipstick is at. At about 3.5 quarts or so, when you pull out the dipstick, it's about right at the first bubble or so. So once you add 1 more quart in it, it goes right to the top bubble of the level of your dipstick. But I just like checking and double checking because I work on several of my Hondas, Honda Civic Hybrid, which only takes 3.5 quarts. But the Honda regular 4-cylinder takes about 4.3 quarts of oil. So basically just check and double check. So the first check is probably all oily and you can't figure out which one it is, so you go wipe it off and put it back in. So you could do another check to make sure you get a clean reading. And it should be this. I do 2 checks. The first check is basically to see if it hits that first point, and then the next one I put another quart in just to finish it off. So at the end, you're going to end up with about 1.2, quarts in that jug left, and that should be about right to where your dot is. So that should be fine for your Honda Accord. I'm just going to add a little more to it so that it's right at that 4.3 mark. And at the end, like I said, it's about roughly 1 and about a centimeter. I don't know how much it is, but it's about a little over a quart left in the jug. So you could use it for a spare, use it for your next project, use it for some other stuff. Now, after you added all the oil in and stuff, we'll go ahead and reset that oil life meter back. So you'll go ahead and go to the driver's seat, turn on the car, switch it all the way to the service oil life, and hold down for about 10 seconds on that button, for the dial button. After about 10 seconds, it's going to start blinking, and let go of it and push it again for another 10 seconds, and it will reset it back to 100% oil life, which is great. So that's for the next time you do it. So there you go, it's all done. Technically you're done, except one more thing. Just make sure you have the car run for a while. Check if there's any leaks where your oil plug is and oil filter is, and just make sure that there's no leaks coming out of there before you drive off that ramp. Just let it run for a few minutes. And that's really about it, guys. Thanks for watching, and that's about it. Just double check everything else and make sure everything's good, and put away your tools, and you're all set. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to watch more, and stay tuned to watch more, and turn on the notifications if you want to see more stuff that I do. That's for fun. And again, thanks a lot for watching. Have a good one. Take care. Hope this helps. Bye. Thanks a lot, and bye.